Have you ever looked at a complex mathematical graph and wondered how in the world you're supposed to manipulate it to fit real-world data? What if I told you that you have the power to literally bend, stretch, and shift reality itself, using nothing but a few simple tweaks to an equation? Think about standing in front of one of those crazy carnival funhouse mirrors. You know the ones. Instead of a flat, perfectly accurate reflection, what does it do? It totally distorts, stretches, and squishes your image vertically and horizontally, making you look completely different. Well, just like that flexible mirror distorts a physical image, we can systematically distort mathematical functions to better model real-world objects that are, constantly changing rather than just staying static. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the funhouse mirror concept. By the end of our time together today, you're going to clearly understand the core concepts behind function transformations, the actual formulas that drive them, and exactly how to apply them to real-life scenarios. It's like a giant puzzle, and we're about to solve the whole shebang. Moving right along to Section 2, vertical and horizontal shifts. Let's start with the absolute simplest transformations. We're just shifting the entire graph of a function up, down, left, or right, totally without changing its fundamental shape. Now, what's really interesting here, and you definitely want to remember this, is the clear divide between outside changes and inside changes. A vertical shift happens when we add a constant, let's call it k, to the outside of the function. That affects the vertical axis. A horizontal shift, on the other hand, happens when we add a constant h to the inside of the function, which affects the horizontal axis. Let's ground this with a real-world problem. Imagine you're managing a massive green building's temperature regulation system. You decide you need to increase the open roof fence by exactly 20 square feet throughout the entire day and night just to keep the building cool. This brilliantly illustrates a vertical shift. If you look at this data, the input, the time, stays exactly the same, but every single output value, the airflow, simply increases by 20. The entire graph literally just physically moves up 20 units. That's it. So, if you ever need to create a vertical shift on a table like a real mathematician, just follow these 3 straightforward steps. Identify your output column, figure out how much you're actually shifting by, and just add that shift directly to each output cell. Easy, right? Now, here is a question I get all the time. Actually, it's a super common point of student confusion. If we add 2 to the input, creating f of x plus 2, why on earth does the graph move in the negative direction, to the left? I mean, shouldn't plus mean right? It is a fantastic question. The reason is that an inside change requires the input to be 2 units smaller just to achieve the exact same baseline output we had before. Because the function is doing the addition for you before it even processes the number, you have to feed it a smaller number to get the same result. It is completely counterintuitive, but once it clicks, it's a real game changer. Okay, on to Section 3, reflections and symmetry. Now that we've got basic shifts down, let's explore what happens when we flip that funhouse mirror completely upside down and backwards. Notice that the pattern from our shifts actually applies here too. Multiplying the outside of the function by a -1 flips it vertically straight over the x-axis. Meanwhile, multiplying the inside of the function by -1 flips it horizontally over the y-axis. And that brings us to a really crucial vocabulary term, the even function. Basically, if you horizontally reflect a graph by flipping it over the y-axis and it perfectly overlaps the original untouched graph, boom, it is an even function. Conversely, an odd function exhibits a sort of double symmetry. This means if you reflect it over both axes, so upside down and backwards, you get the exact original graph back. It's pretty neat when you see it happen on a graph. Next up, Section 4, stretches and compressions. Okay, so adding constants just moves things around, right? And negative signs flip them. But multiplying by constants actually physically stretches or squishes our mathematical models, which fundamentally changes their shape. So the absolute crucial point is right here. Multiplying the whole function on the outside stretches it vertically, making it taller. But multiplying the input variable on the inside actually compresses it horizontally, squishing the graph inward. Let's make this easier with a real-life analogy. If a fruit fly population doubles in size, multiplying the total output by 2, that is a vertical stretch. But let's say an experimental population ages twice as fast, that actually compresses their timeline horizontally. Applying a vertical compression is beautifully simple. Looking at this data right here, multiplying the outside function by 0.5 simply cuts every single output value directly in half, making the resulting graph literally half as tall. Before we finish this section, let's do a quick retention check. If the timeline is twice as fast, it means we reached the exact same milestone in half the time, right? So how do we write that? We write it as an inside multiplier of 2, like f of 2x. All right, final part. Section 5, combining multiple transformations. In the real world, models rarely require just one simple tweak. They often need shifting, reflecting, and stretching all at once to accurately match our totally chaotic reality. When combining these, this is super important, so listen up. Order matters immensely. You absolutely must follow the order of operations. Apply your stretches via multiplication before you apply your shifts via addition. Multiply, then add. Stretch, then shift. To avoid getting totally confused by inside horizontal changes, which, as we know, are super counterintuitive, always use these steps. Factor the expression inside the parentheses out first. Actually, scratch that. Think of it more like isolating the true shift so it becomes perfectly obvious. This allows you to easily compress first and then shift second. Let's summarize our key takeaways from this lecture. Outside changes do exactly what you expect to the vertical axis. Inside changes do the exact mathematical opposite to the horizontal timeline. And remember, always apply your stretches before your shifts. As we wrap up today, I'm going to leave you with a challenge for your next study session. See if you can take a complex equation and track a single coordinate completely backwards through 3 different transformations, all the way to its original undistorted source. If you can do that, you have absolutely mastered this topic. Be sure to check out our next lecture, where we're going to apply all these rules